I got you some prizes.
Here we go.
I don't know how to best do this. Who was the best driver from the Baku race, Mike? Who was the standout champion?
Checo Perez.
Whoa, you get a Checo Perez car!
Oh my goodness
Wow,
gracious!
you did
Did I
it.
get that right?
Okay,
Wow.
who is the next best? And think hard. It might be a trick question.
Esteban Ocon.
No, Checo again. There you go.
Okay, we got Dos Checos.
Okay, let's see. What other cool questions can you answer? Mike, who was the craziest disappointment from the Baku Grand Prix?
Lando Norris.
Was it?
Oh,
It's not right.
for me it was. No, he actually had a pretty good race.
No, Max Verstappen.
Oh yeah, well yeah, there we go. MV. Max Verstappen. It's kind of like MVP.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mike, who is your favorite driver living on or off the grid?
On or off? Sebastian Vettel.
Whoa! Dun, dun, dun.
Really?
Yeah.
So rad.
If you haven't learned by now, this is the Costco F1 set.
This is so sick that there's a Sebastian one.
I know. The Sebastian one's fun. The Max Verstappen, and
I love
then
this
of
one.
course the Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
there's too many Checo Perez cars in this set. There's one too many Max Verstappen cars.
Yeah, there's definitely one too many.
Um,
This one goes here.
but I was gonna say you love the Sebastian Vettel, and
that's
now
so
we
rad.
have too many friggin' Red Bull models.
Wow.
I think I'll give some to my nephews.
I'll see how many more I can hide in the fig.
I'll give some of the Checos to the dog and to my nephews.
Here's a chew toy.
Get 70 miles to the gallon on this fucker. This is shit that made the Tesla.
Dude, welcome to the fast ones. My name is Max, and I'm here with Mike.
Yo.
It's been a few weeks since we were here,
It's been a couple weeks.
but let's just take a moment to feel what's going on in the F1 world right now, because there is a new constructor leading the championship
In the lead
that hasn't been there for over a decade.
for so long.
We haven't had that variety in decades.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Ferrari led the championship for a hot second
yeah.
for the new regulations, and then they blew it.
Yeah.
But this is the first time that Mercedes or Red Bull has not led the championship.
And it's McLaren who's winning. And so it's midway through the season. I feel like all there is to talk about is Baku and McLaren. They've been making so many waves.
Definitely too huge. There's one other thing that we have to make note of, but
Okay.
we'll get around to it.
We'll get around to it.
Yeah.
Okay. But dude, McLaren,
It's crazy.
it's crazy. The fact that it's mid-season, I think, is important.
Absolutely.
Because at the beginning of the year, like you said, Ferrari was leading that constructor championship for a hot second because
Until,
new
like,
regulation. And then people were like, okay, actually, we figured it out real quick.
Right.
Now that it's a couple seasons in, and then halfway through the season, McLaren's just been slowly marching up
And destroying.
and now destroying.
right.
Yeah.
There's so many things that, I don't recall a season really like this. I mean, if you've watched that Braun GP documentary,
Mm-hmm.
you know that Red Bull catches Braun halfway through the season, and Sebastian and Mark try to take the championship from Jensen,
Mm-hmm.
but Jensen manages to pull it off.
Right.
But that's the only real time, and I feel like where I could see a car that started a season as dominant as the RB20 did,
Really?
that it sort of faded mid-season, and that was because Braun had no money. So it almost begs the question, what are Red Bull doing?
Yeah. That's a huge
What are
point
you
of
doing?
conversation. How are they imploding?
It is, I mean, we know why.
We know why.
But
Christian's busy flirting with staff. Helmet is on the racist attack with everyone he sees.
Helmet is trying to he's just scanning the planes for the next person to shoot. And you're like, Helmet, you can't do that.
It's crazy. And then Adrian Newey jumped ship, and they've just slowly sank.
Gone backwards.
It's crazy.
Someone interviewed and asked Adrian, is there a correlation to you leaving
Yeah.
and the sudden loss of performance at Red Bull? And all he said was, I suspected that might happen, but I have no access to what's happening, so I don't know.
Because he's been on garden leave
Ever since he announced that he's
chilling.
quitting. Yeah.
Does he go to the races in his Red Bull uniform?
Not anymore.
He
won't be welcome back anymore. Now that they've especially announced where he's going.
Okay, but will he still be at races?
And that was the other news that we were going to address, is that Adrian has announced that he's going to Aston Martin.
Aston Martin. That'll be part 2 of this episode.
Yes.
So back to McLaren and Red Bull's falling down and McLaren's rising up.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Right. And Ferrari winning Monza was heartwarming.
Oh, geez.
It was huge. It was great to see Charles win at Monza.
He's having a good year compared to his previous year.
Yes.
A great year would be him winning the championship.
A great year would be him winning a race that he started on pole from.
Yeah. He still can't manage that.
He's had 4 poles in Baku.
Yeah.
He hasn't won ever.
Yep. That's sad.
Sucks. It sucks to suck. That's the only thing I can say about that.
Oh.
So.
But yeah, the Tifosi were able to celebrate in Monza, and it was huge.
Huge. Because that was... They really bamboozled McLaren with that one, and kudos.
Yeah,
for the first time ever, Ferrari did a good thing on the strategy call.
Yeah,
and everyone was like, "Wait! Who is this?"
Yeah, if you're gonna do it in Italy.
Yeah, totally. Such a good move. It was a great race too.
Like, everyone wake up for this race.
Right.
All the strategists, mechanics, let's be awake for this race.
Everyone, get your cappuccino. This is the one.
Don't show up to the track late. Don't drink a lot of wine and eat a lot of pasta before the race.
That's for after.
Cappuccinos and light meals.
Only. Hard-boiled egg permitted.
And it paid off.
Yes.
Yeah, and then they went back to the wine and the pastas for Baku.
Yeah, they were like, hey!
We did it!
Oh,
shit.
Yeah, McLaren won. But to your point, Red Bull's falling apart. It seems like they can't do anything to stop it. Max, before the crash, was destined for a 7th place.
Yeah. When was the last time he finished that low? We don't remember.
I don't, because...
He's been in top 2 for years.
Since Hambot.
And if he didn't, he was like DNF.
Right.
Like, there was something keeping his car from moving.
Right. To be competing for 7th regularly is wild. And I remember when everybody started to see this surge from McLaren, the talk was, well, I mean, let's not get too excited. Max probably still has this championship well locked up. Like, it's a long shot that anyone's going to take it from him, because he'll probably still manage to finish 2nd for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that was the vibe.
That was what everyone was saying. They're like, even if he doesn't win the race, Max tends to finish on the podium. A lot of people were like
calculating, like, Lando has to finish every race in first place and get fastest lap. Max has to do exactly this, and we'll get a different champion.
Right. And right now it's like, I don't know. It could be Piastri, Leclerc, or Lando who wins the championship.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Max can't get out from behind 5th place.
Then there's almost, that slow build won't keep the lead. It just won't.
And it's crazy to think that Oscar, the other driver at McLaren, has just as much a chance. And honestly,
a better chance.
Why?
Because he has a killer instinct.
Oh, that was what I was just going to say.
He's got it. That kid is the real deal.
I'm liking Oscar.
He's the real deal.
Yeah. And when it's something like, you pointed this out to me over the weekend, Lando kind of gave up at qualifying. He's kind of being a little kid baby again.
Yeah. Like, what were you kicking and screaming about a yellow flag for?
Yeah, you just went right in. You stopped qualifying and just like, done.
Didn't even finish the lap.
And like you said, maybe another lap, or if you had more time, put in the effort, maybe get 1 or 2 or 3 spaces higher. That would have made the difference onto the podium for him this race.
Right.
Instead, he didn't get a podium.
Well, and another thought there is that, I'm going to Google this really fast.
Yeah. Is Lando a baby? What was his birth year?
Okay.
Is Lando's goatee real, or is he just pretending?
So George Russell ignored yellow flags during qualifying.
But that's okay. He's British.
And received a reprimand. And
How dare you, George?
And was
tut.
Was not given a grid penalty.
Of course, he's British. Races for Mercedes.
All right, are you ready for this?
Kevin Magnussen received more penalty points because he was watching qualifying.
Because he was wearing a Haas shirt.
How dare you?
How dare you, Magnussen?
Oh, poor George.
George, are you okay?
Sorry.
You feeling all right?
Keep going.
So, no, okay, so here's the thing. From what I understand, and this is to my knowledge, so I'm going to make that clear. To my knowledge, when you ignore a yellow flag during qualifying, it's a 5-place grid penalty.
Okay.
If Lando had ignored the flag and continued on his lap and gotten pole, he would have started 5th. But by pitching a fit and giving up, he didn't make it out of Q1, which means he started 15th.
Right.
What was the better option?
Yeah.
He saw Ocon. He even said it. He's like, Ocon was going slow. I could see him. And he was just off in the corner. He wasn't in the middle of the track. There was nothing really dangerous there.
Yeah.
Now, again, it's like you don't know what's around the corner. So there's some element of like, well, we got to be careful. But if you know that it's going to screw your last lap at Q3, there's a few things at stake there. To me, look, I'm not going to over suggest that a driver should ignore yellows.
Yeah.
But if you have a fair idea that it's not that dangerous,
I will.
Look, George Russell ignored him.
We want danger.
And he was handed a reprimand.
And George Russell's bit of a danger boy. My middle name is Danger.
My father,
I've told the butlers to say my middle name is Danger.
Father, have I ever done anything dangerous? Would you say it was defined as dangerous?
Oh, remember when you were younger, you once rode on the horses without a helmet during the dressage competition?
Oh, of course.
Oh, yes, Father.
Of course, I would never forget. How could I forget?
The boys at the school called me Mr. Bad to the Bone for weeks after that.
It was like Sturgis, Father. It's like Sturgis. I've only heard of it.
Guy Ritchie's calling me to put me in a new film. Russell the Muscle is what they call me.
Muscle Russell.
You don't try to hustle Russell the Muscle.
This sounds like an interesting film, son. It sounds like a very interesting film.
I'll pay for it.
I'll pay for it. So
Lando, I would suggest, Lando, go for it. The killer instinct does not exist in you if you don't go for the yellow flag.
I feel like I hear... Look, again, it's hard. I don't know if he was around a blind corner. I don't think he was. I believe he was on the straightaway when he backed out, that final straightaway in Sector 3. So I feel like, in my mind, that's what's tricky about the situation, is that starting 5th and even paying a fine or whatever harsh penalty they gave him for ignoring the yellow definitely would have been the better option.
What do you think people like Lewis would have done in that situation? Lewis 10 years ago.
Lewis has for sure done this.
He has.
At least in the last 3 seasons. Even when his car has been slow, he's ignored yellows.
So that's like a kind of a common thing during qualifying to ignore a yellow.
It happens, and especially when it's like, it does happen fast, and you think about a qualifying lap is the fastest you drive an F1 car ever.
Yeah.
It is the hottest lap you can put together, period. And so if the light turns yellow and it's here, and you're going 200, you can get an ignoring yellow warning for just being like, well, it blinked once at me while I was going 200. What do you expect me to do?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Yeah, so these guys who are like, when lights blink once.
And then the yellow flag's on, the yellow flag's just like that.
They actually put tape right there. I couldn't see. I just showed the stewards.
Bono put tape on my visors.
He was trying to train me. So anyways, I think that like it's definitely happened. And again, you know, there are scenarios where this is super dangerous, where you have like Pierre Gasly, where there was like a wrecker on the track at Suzuka, but this is qualifying. It won't happen.
And like maybe the fans want to see more wrecks.
Blast somebody. Yeah. Come on.
Blast someone, please.
Just freaking crash already. Jeez.
Oh, man. And we got one.
And
I shouted for joy.
Not at the time that I thought we would.
No.
I thought it would happen way earlier in the race.
Yeah. All leading up to it. Oscar Piastri.
Just rock star.
He's so good.
Yeah. He surprised Charles with the longest brake pedal I've ever seen. He just started braking late and just like somehow rolled through the corner without hitting anything. I have no idea how he did it.
And then just held that position for so long.
Even with DRS for Charles.
I kept watching that being like, oh, he doesn't have long.
Yeah.
Charles is going to catch up with the DRS. And then every time they went down that long, long straight, I was like, it's over. And then he was able to just defend that whatever line that Charles kept trying to get.
Right.
And I kept thinking, Charles, do something different.
Yeah. Could you just...
Oscar, obviously, he's
going to go the inside, so go out.
Yeah.
So juke left, right. Like anything there? No, but...
Isn't that what we call throwing a dummy or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he did it, and Oscar just kept holding that lead. Really cool.
It was really cool. And I appreciated that the Karun and the announcer team were like, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
This is great stuff. Because, in the past when we've had stuff like this, you get a Lewis over the radio and he's like, that's some dangerous driving, man. Yeah. Just for defending, period. Yeah. And these two were battling for laps.
Well, like when none of them are British, then they have to actually call it straight. They're like, who do we play favorites for? Maybe we'll just look at the action. And call it as we see it.
We could say, he is Australian.
That's kind of a Commonwealth thing.
It's kind of similar, but look at this race. It was great. Lap after lap after lap. It was good racing. Huge kudos to Ollie Behrman and Franco Colapinto.
Yeah, let's talk about Haas. Man, Ollie Behrman, I thought going into the weekend, I'm like, if this guy scores points, has anyone ever scored points for two different teams in 1 year?
No.
Let alone their first year, the first two races?
Yeah, and for Haas.
Like
Mick Schumacher, I'm not talking trash, but how long did it take you to get points at a Haas? Behrman got it on his first go.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's pretty nuts.
He's a good driver.
Yeah, kid's good.
I think there was one or two moments where I'm like, he missed a line or something. But I'm like, man, the guy's crushing it.
Yeah.
I'm stoked to see him on
And
Haas
he stuffed it in a practice session, but we'll ignore that.
We'll ignore it for the point.
Yeah.
It was
He
great.
pulled it off at the end of the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So, great effort out of Haas. They had a good race. Both cars. It was a bummer that Nico wasn't able to finish in the points, but the fact that Behrman did was
we got points
nuts.
for Haas, which is great. They're getting close to V-Carb.
Right.
It would be so cool to have Haas overtake V-Carb in the constructors. That's crazy.
Well, and Williams got double points. And here's the thing.
That new guy, Capolti? Capote?
Calipinto. Yeah, Calipinto. He's Argentine. He's Argentine.
Oh, is he? Cool.
Yeah,
he's decent. And Williams is crazy.
Crushing. And to me, here's the thing is that I'm like, this is Franco's second race because he raced in Monza.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, again, and for our listeners who have been listening for a while will know that, I wasn't the biggest advocate for Logan Sargent. If it's not going his way, then I'm sorry, it didn't work out.
Yeah, I forgot he was a driver.
Yeah, and comes this kid.
Yeah.
And he's finishing right there with Alex Albon.
Yeah.
And that's so impressive. No time in an F1 car, and now he's just right there with him. I'm like, he's doing great.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alex Albon was up near the top for a bit of the race.
And also, different offset strategies.
Oh, okay. Because there was a while I was like, what is that?
You're like, what is
I
he
double
third?
took at the logo in the the leaderboard or whatever. Like, what the heck?
You're like, what is happening?
When did Williams become fast?
And
that's scary for Haas fans.
Right.
We need
Williams
to beat
are
them.
doing great. Yeah. For us Haas fans, it's a bummer that James Vowles has turned Williams around. We're kind of like,
yeah, we were kind of,
knock it off.
I was feeling a bit confident. I'm like, Alpine, they suck. Williams, I don't even think about them.
Right.
And now I'm like, oh no.
Oh boy.
We've seen this before where Haas is kind of up halfway through the year.
Yeah.
And then they kind of plateau.
Right.
And I don't want that to happen.
Right. And it seems as though the car is still competitive, still having good results.
Yeah.
But it is tricky. And man, that midfield is really competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So back to Red Bull, though.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that we didn't talk about on the podcast was the discovery, or at least a rumor of the discovery of that brake system, where Max had and it was basically a weight in the brake valve or inside the brake system where it was a valve that as the car turned, the weight of the valve would twist into direction, causing the brake pressure to be greater on the wheels that were cornering.
That's so genius.
So wild.
These guys are so cool.
Yeah.
And clever and genius.
Just skirting the rules as much and as anywhere as they could possible.
Wow.
But brake steer isn't something that's new. McLaren invented it with Mika Hakkinen, and they had a fourth pedal in the car with a switch. And Mika was such a monster, he could work out while driving how to brake the car faster by dancing with a fourth pedal.
Oh, because back then they were still clutch with the gear?
Yeah. So,
even though the gears were probably on the steering wheel at that point.
Yes, they had moved, but they still had a clutch pedal. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so they moved a pedal off to the side, and he could flick a switch to like left or right, push that pedal, and it would increase the brake pressure on the inside and make the car corner faster. So,
holy crap. I can't imagine doing that at 200 miles an hour.
So hard to think that fast.
Into a corner passing someone.
It's already hard enough to like remember to blinker when you're driving your road
I don't see any of these drivers using their blinker.
Yeah.
And
I think Carlos Sainz could have avoided the wreck. I have
started a formal complaint to the FIA. These are not safe.
This is how BMW kids, they're looking up to these drivers. It's a simple cause and effect.
These BMW drivers have been watching too many Formula One drivers. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's crazy. The fourth pedal.
Yeah.
Blows my mind.
The fact that they were able to manage it was amazing.
Yeah.
But once they discovered it, because like all great innovations, FIA made it illegal.
Yeah.
So Red Bull's solution to that issue was instead of making it a pedal, this was like DAS, where they had the dual axis steering.
Yep.
Where you push and pull and the toe of the car would change, the front wheels. With this system, it was based on a weight in the braking system that would swing as the car's G-force would increase.
That's so clever.
And that would adjust which side had greater brake pressure.
Wow.
And so really, really clever design. Once they discovered it, they made it illegal, and the car has seemed to just be nowhere since.
Dang, it was giving that much advantage?
When you think about brake steer being something that makes a car go faster in a slow corner, and you think of places like Monaco and some of those circuits that are like really tight corners, and some of the fastest lap time, the best sectors that existed for those were Red Bull, because they had something that made them so fast in the low speed, and it was that. Or at least that's the rumor. The other rumor is that Checo didn't have the system on his car.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's true or not, but Checo was having a great race in Baku.
Yeah, he's up there competing with Max again. Either he didn't have that in his system, or he realized that he is now on borrowed time.
Yeah,
and
it's like
a lot of people don't want to.
Might as well try to win while I can.
He didn't want to before.
Yeah, I know.
He's like, okay, I'll try again.
I guess
He hasn't been trying.
I'll throw caution to the wind on this one. Gonna go out there and win.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he had a good race.
He had a great race.
Until he didn't.
Until he made a huge error.
Yeah. Dude, going into that last lap, I mean, again, I'm all my attention is on Oscar and Charles.
Right.
And then I noticed Charles starts to dip behind.
Tires are just toast.
Oscar is now like away from DRS. I'm like, oh, he's going to be fine.
Yeah, he's won this.
And now I'm like, oh, there's pressure from Checo. I didn't even notice Sainz. I really didn't.
He was so far back.
I don't think anyone noticed.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, when Perez made the move, was pretty much ahead of Charles, but then Charles grabbed that very inside line.
Yeah.
Still kept the lead. And then Sainz snuck
just
right through.
Was like, oh, thanks, guys.
I was like, yes.
Yeah, it was such a good move.
This could be a Ferrari 2-3.
Yeah.
And then from what I saw.
Yes. I would love to hear your take.
It seemed to me that Perez didn't leave space. I don't know enough about racing lines and what's appropriate. And then when it showed like a top view or like even the driver's point of view, Sainz was clearly ahead. So I don't know who has the right of way. And then their reactions, and I tend to think like in this instance, Perez lost his mind.
Yeah.
On the radio, he was furious.
Yeah.
Sainz was like, what just happened?
Like shocked.
Yeah, like what is going on?
Genuinely.
How did I end in the wall?
Right.
So I'm like, maybe Perez is guilty, because usually when they're guilty, they seem to yell at the other driver.
What a beep, beep. Yeah, it's usually
George
that
Russell
guy.
crashes into someone and then goes over and hits him in the head.
Yeah. He's a Toto. Did you see the Bottas?
Yeah. And the other guy's usually like, what just happened? I didn't see that coming.
Right.
So that's my thoughts on who caused it.
I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah.
My analysis of it is that first, I think you take a small poll of who has more, to put it politely or gently, who has more silly accidents between the two of them.
I really don't know.
It's definitely Sergio.
Yeah.
If you think about Suzuka last year when he punted into Kevin Magnussen, you think about just like that race in general, where Perez was just like running into literally everything. But the truth is that this has happened more than once with Checo, where he doesn't move, and he's trying to squeeze. And it's like if you can't squeeze someone in a scenario where they don't even know that they're being squeezed.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. He didn't move, even though Carlos went with the racing line and was following in the toe of Charles' wake on purpose to try to I want to edge on the drag race. I want the competitive edge.
Yeah, I don't want to be against the wall the whole way down.
Right, and there's marbles. So you're trying to stay off of that part of the track because it's dirty. And so, obviously Carlos could have moved further right, but that wasn't required.
And he wasn't aware that there was a car
there's plenty of room to the left.
Yeah.
So if you want to drag race, you drag race. But you don't squeeze to the point where you're gonna take both of you out of the race.
Yeah.
On the last lap or 2 laps to go. The better move would be to fall in line, get DRS, and attack him again.
Yeah.
Which there was plenty of time to do.
There was a couple laps left.
Yeah. So to squeeze him, in that point, that's where I go, it's Checo's fault. Because at the end of the day, Carlos was just doing his racing line. And if you're the guy who's losing the position, you need to move over and give yourself another chance later. You don't just, I don't know. Just hold your ground and be like, what was he doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems very George Russell. You're correct.
Yeah. And man, the Red Bull lost those points. Max didn't bring in a whole bunch of points himself. So it's like going in before that crash happened, I was like, oh, okay. I think people were the announcers were like, oh, if McLaren takes the first spot, then they will be ahead of them in the constructors. Right. As soon as Checo's out, it's like, oh, they are clearly ahead no matter what happens now.
Right.
It's just wild.
So crazy. And the fact that Ferrari is still in that fight, it's like McLaren's been having great races, but Ferrari has been really consistent.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, so it's like they're all right there. Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, McLaren, they are all just a big pot of points right now.
It's getting to the point where we're seeing driver skill versus driver skill.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is so great.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Do you think Sainz could have taken Charles
in second? I do. I think the reason is because Charles had used everything he had.
Do you think he would have?
I think he would have.
See, I was
Carlos has got nothing to apologize for
before the crash. Yeah, for a split second there, I was like, oh, Carlos could overtake Charles right now, and that's cool. I like Carlos. I like Charles too, but would have been crazy.
It would have been great to see.
That move was probably one of the best moves of this season.
It was really good.
Like I said, I totally forgot he was there, and then all of a sudden, boom, he snuck through.
Yeah,
Perez overtaking Charles, and then I loved it when Perez ended up behind both Ferraris. I was like, yeah, take that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't really have it.
No, I'm like, we've seen two races in a row. We've seen great overtakes because the last one was Piastri in Monza because he snuck and stole Lando
right at the start.
And everyone was like, "Whoa, where did that just come from?"
And Piastri's like, "Yeah."
I mean, door was open.
I'm a driver.
I went for the pass.
That's why this guy's a killer. It's because he's a psychopath.
He's totally.
There's no emotion.
Yeah.
You know how serial killers just don't feel empathy for things?
He's like doing the interview and putting on like a rubber raincoat. Have you ever heard of Huey Lewis in the news? just full American
while
psycho.
Lando's sitting on this other side of the couch.
You painting? Yeah, renovating.
Yeah. They're putting a new livery on the car, Lando. It's your blood. The next livery, it's just Lando's normal McLaren, and then Oscar's has like red splatter on the back.
Yeah.
Dude, that's cold.
It's just written with his finger. It says papaya rules in blood.
Just the craziest mind game ever.
Oh,
Being
man.
teammates with a straight up psychopath.
Hey, seriously though, I'm like that kid's sense of humor and everything is just so like
Yeah.
even keel, and it's like all the F1 drivers have never seen anything like it. They're all kind of freaked out by his like sociopathic like demeanor.
Okay. Remember, we didn't understand him at first. We're like,
No,
who's
yeah.
this guy? He's bland.
It's kind of weird.
It's like, oh no, that's his thing.
Yeah, no, his thing is that he strikes fear into people with his silence and his lack of care.
This bland looking Aussie. Like when that guy crashed, the jetpack guy crashed at
He's like-
Spa or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, I was going to do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have crashed.
Dude.
It's like Kimi Räikkönen,
Oh, I love
but
that.
like recreated because he doesn't even do like the quick-witted comments. He
No.
just like,
Yeah. Dude, and everyone's loving that cool down room comment
yeah.
with the crash. And Oscar's just like, yeah, they haven't been really good friends this weekend.
Guess they closed the deal or whatever. He's like, guess they finished the job. So good.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of them watching that crash though was like their reaction was all of us.
Mm-hmm. It was weird to see that crash because it looked like they got vacuum sucked into the wall.
Yeah,
Just how the G-forces were working and that car,
that impact was
angling.
heavy.
it was big. And I screamed for joy. I have been waiting for a good crash for so long. It was decent.
yeah,
It was fun.
yeah.
But man,
I mean,
there's not been a lot of crashes.
well, and I think when I think about Baku, I do think about this car because this is the
That's
the
when-
famous Daniel Ricciardo Max Verstappen crash
Yeah.
because Max was swerving under braking,
Mm.
being childish.
He was very young
yes,
and angry at that time.
yes, he was.
Yeah.
He wanted to prove a point.
Uh-huh.
Ugh. But these days, this is the other thing I got to say. Kudos to Max. Said it a lot, and I just continue to admire the fact that he's not coming unhinged and not coming unglued.
Yeah.
He's being very like, we just didn't have it this weekend.
Yeah. I don't know what lap it was, but I remember what was it when Lando passed Max? I was for sure like, oh, Max is going to take him out.
Yeah, he's
Max
going to
isn't
clip a
going to
wheel
let the
or
guy
something.
who's threatening his championship
Yeah.
go by him.
Right.
And he did.
Yeah, he just let him pass.
I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Has he lost it?
I don't think he's lost it.
Yeah.
I think he knows that he's not competing with him right now. I think he genuinely has admitted to himself, like, it's just not there.
The
So,
car.
Yeah, if he goes wheel to wheel with Lando, it's like, what's he doing?
And maybe Max is thinking what we've kind of said in the past. Like if Max can just kind of like manage a top finish every once in a while and let all the other guys take turns,
Duke it out? Yeah.
their points are going to be low and he's still going to be up high.
Yeah, as long as he just continues to accumulate,
Yeah.
everyone else can kind of,
They'll evenly spread out the points
seesaw
and no
the
one
25 point
will,
category.
and no one will like rise above that.
Right.
Interesting.
Possible.
It's possible.
Yeah. So
Seems so weird though.
such a crazy race.
Yeah.
But I feel like that, I saw a meme that was like until lap 20 and everyone's like asleep or something.
Mhm.
And then like from lap 20 on, then they were like, and I was like, or like, it was, I think it was like WTF what it was like until lap 20 and sleeping. And then from lap 20 on, and then it had like a papaya, like McLaren hat
yeah.
on, which made me laugh. I was like, that's kind of funny.
Uh-huh.
But I felt like there was not a moment in this race that I wasn't like, let's go.
Mm.
Like it was just hectic the whole time.
Yeah.
So Baku continues to prove that it is the new Monaco. It is the street circuit king.
It is a fun
It's
one.
so good.
Man, speaking of kings, Aston Martin is taking the design king. Should we shift gears and talk about Adrian
At
Newey?
this point, it's time.
Sir Adrian Newey.
Sir, if he doesn't get knighted, it's a robbery.
Lawrence will knight him.
A Canadian.
A Canadian knight. Knights of the Canadian.
You did a good job, eh?
It's not a round table. What is it? Just a
It's just a maple leaf.
beaver-shaped table. Maple leaf table. there's lots of sides to it.
Yeah, it's kind of jagged.
Uh-huh.
But it works.
It works.
It works, huh?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Adrian Newey finally announced he's going to Aston. We kind of called it
Yeah.
based off of
Some-
deductions from you.
Right.
Hints
Jeremy
from
Clarkson.
Jeremy Clarkson. At what point are we going to just be like, we trust Jeremy and everything he says?
Right. Yeah. We know what he knows things.
Uh-huh.
And he definitely knows Adrian Newey.
Uh-huh.
So there wasn't too much of a shot in the dark once he started saying things.
Yeah.
But big news.
Even before that, though, you had kind of speculated, like, I don't see Adrian Newey going all the way to Italy. He wants to kind of like stay at home.
Yeah.
And he would, want to build a car outside of Formula One as well. Yeah, you had a lot of good points. So big shout out to you, Mike.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Clairvoyant in the world of Formula One. Honestly, it's
Cheers.
impressive.
Woo! But
Yeah.
I mean, I think the reason that I was so unconvinced that Ferrari was a viable option, even though I felt like I wanted that to be the case because of just what it would mean to have someone who's a British born superpower like him go to Italy and be like, we're going to team up with the prancing horse and make something happen would have just been like crazy.
Yeah.
But from, knowing his story, knowing the things that he was concerned about and he cared about, doing IndyCar in the United States was the demise of his first marriage and didn't want to put distance between himself and his family, especially at this point in his career.
Yeah.
It's like, why?
Yeah.
It seems like might as well just get a really rad house in the UK, make $25 million a year for 4 years.
Gosh.
So
yeah, that's a lot.
It's crazy.
I also had heard that he also wanted to design Lewis's wardrobe for the Ferrari years. And Lewis didn't want to agree to that.
He was like, so you can design my car. You can design my car.
He's like, I want to branch out into new things, and I have some fashion ideas. And Lewis is like, I am the fashion king.
That's Adrian. I'm just the men and women back at the factory. I really respect you, and just want to thank everyone back at the factory. But I don't think it's a good idea for you to design my clothes. But everyone back at the factory knows.
Here's a question: do you think Lewis would rather take a winning car or
sacrifice his wardrobe?
A winning car be sacrificed as a wardrobe.
Okay.
Or the car he has now, but he gets to wear whatever he wants.
Probably the car he has now.
He really doesn't care about winning.
He doesn't care anymore.
Yeah, he just wants to be cool.
He's like, just give me that red race car. Let's go.
Yeah, Adrian Newey to Aston Martin. So the big question that I had, and I think I've been answered, but you can help me.
Is Fernando going to live to see this win a race?
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
And am I wrong that Adrian Newey's car design, whatever he cooks up, isn't going to happen until 2026?
That's what they say. But
why wouldn't he input to 2025?
Because of garden leave. But let me assure you.
Do you think that they're just going to show Adrian Newey the 2025 car? And he can't say anything. Well, they'll be like, grunt if you think this is cool.
Yeah. Tweak this suspension to the left with your big toe. Touch T on the keyboard.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Just subtle hints. Yeah.
It's there's only so much that they can police in this way. Christian Horner said in an interview about something to the effect of being like, well, if we know that if he shows up in 2025, the Aston Martin's the fastest car out there, that Adrian's not living up to his word. It's kind of what he was like throwing shade at.
But it's like, you don't have faith in the other designers?
It's like,
Aston Martin?
Didn't you hire Dan Fallows?
Yeah.
Didn't you hire all of these people that are over there?
Yeah.
I would be shocked if Adrian doesn't weigh in.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of what is going to be, again, part of where I felt like I thought that his excitement to go to Aston Martin was rooted in was the fact that they have a brand new wind tunnel. All of the latest technology, everything under the sun in that new facility. And to be able to like utilize all of that with his ability to just draw a fantastic car.
Right.
It's just going to be amazing.
And aren't they going to be competing in WEC with the Valkyrie? Did you say that?
Yeah, that's
fun too.
On the things to do.
Oh, no, just like the to-do list.
Yeah, just another one. Fernando is an interesting part of this.
We want Fernando.
We want
him to race in 2026.
If Lance Stroll wins a championship, because like Fernando is just like retiring. What a load of crap.
You know what I mean? The biggest derf in the history of F1 to win a championship would be so weird. Can you imagine the speeches from Lance Stroll?
I just can't believe it. It's hard to understand how we got here.
Oh, jeez.
I just think as a team, we worked really hard to buy Adrian.
He would be, his face would be everywhere.
Yeah.
He would be on a lot of commercials and ads. And we all know what he sounds like when he's promoting a product.
That's my dad.
That's amazing.
I feel like it's interesting, but like we've seen the memes.
Yeah.
Draco Malfoy being like, yes, sometimes your parents, can buy the nicest things or whatever the crap the line is.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's unfortunately really accurate in this case.
But
none of us care if it puts Fernando on the top
that's what
step.
we're saying. No one cares.
No one cares at all.
I'm like, you know what, Lawrence, he's breaking all these paradigms, being this businessman and just being like, I don't care. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to buy who I want. And we're going to be a winner. And I'm like, okay, I'm behind that if Fernando is crushing it.
Yeah, I'm full.
Put him in a hyperbolic chamber.
We support you.
Freeze.
As long as Fernando wins.
Just freeze Fernando Alonso for a year. And then thaw him out for 2026.
Well, I've seen Encino, man. It's possible.
Yeah, they didn't even use technology.
Call Brandon Fraser. I'm sure you have his phone number. He can tell you how they did it.
Exactly. We have cryo technology. My new coworker's name's Ty. So shout out to him. He had this theory that he's like, I think Aston Martin might be kind of sandbagging in a way. It's like, we haven't seen them performing as well. He's like, my theory is like, they might be sandbagging in a sense to kind of like really put all in for 2025 and 2026.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think it's totally possible. It's sort of that Ferrari game where underperform the season before to get more wind tunnel time, and where Aston Martin has a brand new facility that they're moving into.
Yeah.
They've hired Adrian Newey. There's so many chips that are falling into place.
Mm-hmm.
The more allotted wind tunnel time at your facility that's brand new and the best one in the world is going to be an amazing advantage.
Yeah.
And where the car was incredible when they kicked the regulation off and has slid backwards, it does seem like maybe it's a tactic to give Adrian more time to cook.
Yeah.
Let him cook.
If you have this giant investment coming in, you've taken a big risk bringing Adrian Newey in.
Yeah.
Like, give him all the tools you need to succeed.
It's kind of funny when I heard the amount of money that they're going to pay Adrian, I was initially like, $25 million a year. Why would anyone give a driver $50-70 million a year, but the guy who's designing the car only gets 25? I was like, this is a very interesting dynamic, but I thought about it a little longer and I was like, so Sebastian Vettel's my age and he's already retired. Lewis is just a little bit older than me and hasn't yet, but he's on his way out.
Yep.
And Adrian Newey's like in his 70s.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's probably why.
Yeah.
His career has been way longer. He's made big figure salaries for a lot longer.
He's designed a few championship cars for decades.
With lots of probably incentives. So it wasn't just the base salary. There was things on top,
for
right?
Sure.
So it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I was trying to put the like justification in my head and I was like, oh wait, no, the longevity of like an engineer is a very long time.
I mean, also Adrian Newey isn't risking his life.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he is.
He does have to live with the fact if someone crashes, that's on his hands.
And he has.
That's true. We talked about it.
Yeah, Senna.
Ferrari almost threw him in jail.
Yes, it's Italy. Ferrari.
Why would he go back to that team? They're like, hey, remember how we almost threw you in jail?
He's like,
do you want to come work for us now?
I'd love to live in Italy. Wait, didn't they try to arrest me for a decade?
Oh, forget about it. Let the past be the past.
It didn't happen.
That was Bonotto. He's not here anymore.
Fred's like, listen, Adrian. I know you had this thing in the past. It's not the way anymore.
Yeah.
It's not the same way.
We'll let you kill people.
We will let you. And we will say that it was an accident.
Yeah.
It's not a murder. We had not that one.
You name the driver, we will kill him.
I'm like, you just have to make your tongue numb to sound like Fred Vesser.
Yeah, it's true.
Because,
yeah.
Adrian, if you are going to come to that, there's a possibility that you might get tried for murder one more time. Just one more time.
All the British people get tried for murder.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's like, I'm not scared. I just like this idea of Fred Vasseur, like hiding the fact that he's terrified that the Tifosi are going to kill him every day. He's like, it's great. I don't wake up screaming in the middle of the night.
I have no fear. No, I do not have night terror.
No one has thrown a brick through my window in days. The last car bomb got my brother. It didn't get me. Dude, if Alonso doesn't make it, who do you think? Let's just speculate. Who do you think's taking the seat? Who do you think is going to be number 2 to Lance Stroll?
This is the topic.
People have said Max.
I don't think so. I don't think he'll do it
Why not?
because there's too much pride
You don't think Yas and Helmut would work with Lawrence?
with Lawrence.
Yeah.
Well, you see there, Max, thanks for coming down to the factory. Lance, could you get us some water? Now, what I'm going to try to tell you today, is, you see Yas just sitting there and putting up with that, he'd be like, what's your offer?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, for real.
So I don't know. I feel like the Verstappens would go to Ferrari or Mercedes so much quicker.
So who'd be your pick?
My brain goes, would they give him another world champion as a teammate? Or would they go the route of a number 2? And Yuki has been touted as the guy who would replace Fernando because of the Honda relationship that will take place in 26. I do think Yuki is a good driver. I do think that he would be a great teammate, and he might wipe the floor with Lance. But I see like Pierre Gasly's. There's people in the sport still that I think could be very, very interested by an opportunity at Aston.
Interesting. Okay. Oh, is it a doubleheader?
Is it?
Next week. Do we have Singapore? Is it this week?
Yeah, it was the 14th, 15th. Was it 15th this weekend?
Yeah,
it is. We got another Rossiek.
Okay, cool. So yeah,
we're so out of it. This is such a genuine, like you guys like realize we've got a doubleheader. Let's go.
Okay, this week Singapore.
Yes,
this will be fun.
Let's go.
Okay.
I was in Florida this past week with the highest humidity and temperature I've ever experienced.
Oh wow.
And I sympathize now for the Singapore race because it is brutal.
They're already probably training right now.
Totally.
To lose just mass amounts of kgs of
They
sweat.
just lose 50 kgs during the race.
Yeah.
And they come out of there and they're just like
bean poles.
And they're just like, it's a great way to shed pounds before a gig.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Thanks for checking out the episode today. We'll see you later.
Thanks, team.
Follow us. Watch us on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify. Whatever.
Like, subscribe.
Tell your friends.
Follow us. Stalk us.
Stalk us.
On the other socials. Max, Barney.
Yeah. Follow my personal Instagram account.
Just look him up.
There's a lot happening there.
Yeah, you'll see his tattooed head. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
See you guys next week.
See ya.
Have you ever heard of Huey Lewis in the news?